Well, you may have seen her on the hit comedy series Abbott Elementary or as Ashley Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Well, now Tatyana Ali is using her platform to advocate for Black maternal health. According to the CDC, Black women are almost 3 times more likely to die due to a pregnancy-related cause. Joining us now live to discuss this crisis is longtime actress, Grammy winner, and activist Tatyana Ali herself. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate your time. So your passion for this issue led you all the way to Congress, where you testified. What changes do you demand from them, and what is your personal connection to this fight?
Well, what changes? There's an incredible bill. It's called the Momnibus bill that I'd love to see passed in its entirety. The Black Maternal Health Caucus has put it up several times. Many times they put it up every year, and it would completely change our outcomes. It's a really packed bill. I came to this work after the birth of my first son, Asi. I experienced obstetric violence at a hospital in Los Angeles. After that, I started working with the reproductive justice community really to learn more during my second pregnancy. I ended up working with a wonderful Black midwife for that pregnancy and birth, and my experience was completely different. I was cared for, I was listened to, and I was safe.
Wow, I'm glad that you had a much better experience that second time around, because that is something that, you know, we go through as Black women when we're looking for our OBs and we're looking for our doctors to find someone who looks like us and can understand that a little bit better. You recently launched Baby Yams, which is a quilt line for babies. I love it. So how is this helping tackle the Black maternal health crisis, which we know is such a serious topic, but this is a more visual representation of the work you're doing?
Yeah, it's made with Ankara fabrics. It's based on a quilt that I made for Alejandro. Once I found my midwife, I've been sewing all my life. My family sews. And I was trying to find a way to really galvanize us, to bring us together and raise capital for all of the wonderful efforts going on. One of the things that the reproductive justice community is trying to do is to build the workforce of midwives around the country, especially in areas that are known as maternal care deserts. So this money is going towards midwives, and the first round of blankets sold out in just a few days. It came out during Black Maternal Health Week in April, and that funding, that's going to fund scholarships at the National College of Midwifery in Taos, New Mexico, and it will go to both Black and Indigenous midwives, because Indigenous families experience very similar outcomes for many of the same reasons for bias.
And so you mentioned, you know, your work with Congress and testifying and how these issues are being brought to the forefront every year. How frustrating is it for you that, you know, the needle hasn't moved probably as quickly as you would like, and probably as it should when we look at these rates and percentages?
It's extremely frustrating. It's maternal care. Our reproductive rights are going backwards as well, and lives are in the balance, not to mention the trauma that's caused when we don't really have bodily autonomy and the respect that we deserve. It's very frustrating, and that's why I, you know, after all of that work, all that advocacy work for the last 5 years, that's why I've turned to trying to raise capital, because what is inspiring and what powers me is how much we as a community have decided to take matters into our own hands, come together, and care for each other.
So you've been quoted as saying, "What hurts my sister hurts me," and I really love that quote, because I feel like it's now, you know, in these times, it's so easy to be insular, right? And to say, okay, well, if this isn't directly impacting me, then what does it really matter? But when we're talking about reproductive rights in particular, that is not necessarily an ideology that is sustainable. Right? So how significant are those rights heading into this presidential election? And you mentioned we're seeing things change pretty rapidly.
You know, it's amazing. It's as insulated as we'd like to be, and as much as we'd like to just worry about what's going on inside of our own homes, it doesn't really work that way. What affects my sister affects me. It's not just a matter of feeling and care, it's a matter of the systems involved. And so when I've shared my story and what I experienced in the hospital, I've shared it in rooms with many different types of people and many different types of families. And across the board, across classes, across race lines, white families, Black families, Latino families, Asian families, everybody has a story, because reproductive rights really, when you're starting a family, when you're making a choice to start a family or not, those are really the most intimate, profound moments of our lives as human beings. And so if the system denigrates and disrespects one group of people, it is only a matter of time that it affects everyone.
And that's a really good point. What would be your advice to someone out there who, let's say is a part of those communities? You mentioned the Black community, Indigenous community as well, and they're talking to their partner saying, hey, let's start a family, but they're scared about the numbers that we talk about every day and that we just talked about. What would be your advice to them?
Yes. That's a huge part of my advocacy, and a huge part of this work is that we have the right to joy and that we have the right to hopeful expectancy. And I would tell them to reach out, to look, go onto your Instagram, go onto social media. There are incredible organizations, Black Mamas Matter Alliance, Common Sense Childbirth in Florida. They're all over the country. Mama Glow is an incredible doula organization in New York. Start to really look for yourself and reach out to advocates. I would also say that when you feel, we all experience these kind of microaggressions in our daily life, being followed at the grocery store or not being treated properly in different areas. This is an area where those microaggressions can't pass, where when you feel it, when you have that instinct and you say, this person isn't listening to my questions, they're not taking me seriously, they're not taking the time to talk through my questions with me, take that as a sign and keep looking.
All right, Tatyana Ali, actress, singer, and activist. Thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your insight, and of course for all of the hard work that you're doing. I really appreciate it.
I just want to mention the name of the blanket company. It's Baby Yams. We have a second round out now with summer colors, and they're selling. And just check it out. Check out the work.
All right,
they're
Tatyana,
really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.